excited about this next conversation. We got an absolute legend and icon in the building. Came all the way from Chicago, really came all the way from China to be with us today, and that means the world to me. It means a lot for me to even just say I know this brother. So we're looking forward to pouring back into you all and making sure you all get something out of today. But let's give a round of applause one more time for yourselves for being here. Y'all been here since 10 a.m. rocking with us. And more importantly, as you all know, you all volunteered some of your time to be here today. That's the biggest and most important thing about the Yesterday's Tomorrow conference. It is always going to be a free conference, but you always going to have to do some form of community building and community give back in order to get access into this conference. So give it up for you all for doing something this year to get back to your community. Yes, yes. So I know Anissa been on y'all about y'all energy, but this is the big one today. So we need to make sure y'all presence is felt. Again, this brother came all the way from Asia to be here, from Chicago, sacrificed a lot to be here with y'all today. So we're gonna do a standing ovation for the legend and icon, Don C.
Thank you so much.
Man, thank you.
Let's give it up for Cam for putting this together. Cam Kirk Foundation. This good work they doing in Atlanta. And I cannot accept y'all giving it up for me without me giving it up to y'all. So back at you. Because everybody that came here today, Cam expressed to me, did some good work in the community to even have a spot here. So I appreciate what y'all doing. And I came here to encourage, but I'm already getting encouraged. So.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, you know, we got a lot to get into today. And as I explained to you upstairs, 90% of what we're talking about today is literally coming from you all in the audience. So when you all registered to attend this conference, you all left questions. And hopefully throughout today, some of your questions have been heard through all the speakers. And we reserved some that were for Don that we're going to go through today. I know for sure I want to hear this story in person. I've had the honor of knowing you for some years, and we got a chance to work together. And I got to hear your story through photographing your story in Chicago. And I left so inspired that really led us to be here. So I just want to let you know, and I'll say it in front of everybody, the foundation of Camp Kirk Studios is heavily inspired by the work of you and by me seeing RSVP Gallery in Chicago. That changed my entire life and the way I approach this business and the way I approach community. So I want to give you your flowers for that too.
Man, thank you, brother. Same to you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we're going to get into community building, RSVP Gallery. We're going to get into creativity, being a creative director, fashion. But I want to start with just the hometown, the origin stories, because I feel like there's a lot of community similarities between Chicago and the way you all band together and stick together and put on for your city the same way we kind of do here in Atlanta in the South. So one of the questions I was asked was, how does Chicago play a part in like the origin story of Don C?
Oh man, it's the ultimate part of it. Is the origin of Don C and sort of everything. I feel like Chicago. It's funny. I look out. I see my big bro Derek Dudley in the building, who's a A-Town legend now, but he originally was a Chicago legend. This brother, him and Common, they start putting it on for us, and was an example because we didn't have no examples. I feel like we just thought the industry was like overlooking the crib. So to see firsthand somebody from our crib to be able to do it was like, you know how they say representation matters. Like if you don't see an example of somebody from where you from doing it, you kind of don't think it's possible. Yeah. So I have to say, like, Chicago, we're an authentic town. I'm proud to say that, like, we can't help but be Chicago. So whether you're inspired by it, you like it, or if you're offended by it, unfortunately, we can't help it. That's just what we are. So that's sort of the foundation of everything we do is authentic. Mm-hmm. I try to just present everything in the most authentic form, and because I feel like that's something that can't be duplicated. If it's me, it's my blueprint, I just can't help but to be that, and hopefully that's what connects. The principles of what we believe in hopefully connects with others, and I see it has, because when I come down here to Atlanta, I see so many young people and just doing things that I'm attracted to. And I'm like, man, this is like the foundation of, like what you said here was inspired through what we do. I feel it. Like soon as I came in, I was like, man, I feel at home. Yeah. So I really, really feel it. And to get to the point of the actual question, yes, Chicago is the foundation of everything we do. We try to activate things locally and then amplify it globally.
Nah, and that's felt. Like I said, I feel like there is a connection between Atlanta and Chicago. There's like an imaginary line that goes straight to each other, whether it be the music, the fashion, the love for sports, all that type of stuff is really synonymous with each other, and that's really dope. So we obviously know the accolades that you've achieved, or most of us do, and seen you on the biggest stage, but where did it actually start? What would you say is the first piece of work or thing that you did? How did it start for Don C?
Man, I always say, like, I feel really, really privileged, because I feel like it just is me. Like, I've been collecting sneakers since I was a young kid. Yeah. Music, you know, I had the privilege of being friends with Kanye since he was 14 and I was 15. So a musical genius from our city that's your best friend is like, wow, you know. And then I had the privilege of meeting Virgil in 06, somebody that came from a formally trained architect that wanted to do something within culture, though. So, like I always say, like the level of his design language was like far past t-shirts, you know. Yeah. This man was drawing houses when I first met him, and he wanted to be a part of the culture, though. Mm-hmm. And so to see him, like, quote unquote, dumb it down to excel even on a bigger level was quite inspiring. So I just say, like, man, just being you is gonna attract the energy that you expel. You know, like what you put out there is what you're gonna get back. So the universe is 360 circular. It's just gonna bring back that. So I encourage everybody to, like, put out the best version of what you are. Put it out there. And even if you're not compensated, like, that's why I had to, like, skirt from the music business, because it's just, it wasn't set up for proper compensation. So it was like, yo, you'll work on some of the most monumental projects and not make no money. So I was like, yo, this is for the birds, because it was like, yo, like, this is like, I mean, touring brought money. And then once we start touring, merchandise brought money, because it was something tangible. So I'm big on, like, music to me is like free. And for the musicians in the room, like, it's beautiful because you can express your art, but it's something that you don't really want to ask people for compensation to listen to a song. You want people to have it for free so you can be a bigger artist and share your work with more people. But then to make a business of it, you got to figure out how to monetize it. And so the record labels, they kind of figure out how they monetize it. And so I just didn't like that principle of that, especially in the digital world, because, you know, I'm telling my age. When I first started, it was CDs. And so you could have a tangible product then, you know, but it was still only $10. Yeah. So I say even a T-shirt is $20 to $50. So that's a better business to me than CDs. But like I said, no matter what your medium is, it kind of don't matter what the money is. Like, if you ask me, like, you had an opportunity to work on these projects, you had the opportunity to work with Nike or brands that we work together. As a kid, you do it for free. Yeah. You know, so it's not about the money. If you love it, the money will come. But I think to once go back, I'm sorry, I'm so long-winded, to go back to the actual question, where did it start from? Being a kid, fearlessly expressing itself. So I got teased as a kid because my dad is Japanese, and so living on the south side of Chicago, you get teased for looking different. You know what I'm saying? So I got teased heavily as a kid, and so it allowed me to develop, like, a personality. Like, man, let me learn how to crack jokes. Yeah. Maybe people won't tease me so much. Let me show people that I'm creative. Maybe they won't tease me so much. So that's one of the things, like, fearlessly expressing yourself. And at the time, you know, being into fashion or clothes was looked at as being like weird. Like in Chicago, people said I was gay, you know, because I like clothes. And it was like, you know, it's just, I really look at the generation today like, man, I love how fearless everybody is to be themselves. And so that was one of the things we tried to conform. Like we was trying to, you know, Chicago's a gangster city. Like everybody in a gang, you know, like even if you a nerd, you gotta kind of roll with with the gang, you know, like, yeah. It's not, neutron is not an option, you know what I'm saying? Because you're going to get beat up regardless. So you might as well you might as well throw your hat a certain way. But I think fearlessly to take it back to the answer, just being me, you know, because that's my fingerprint and being me. And then trying to express positive energy, I think connected me with like-minded creatives.
Nah, that's real. That's real. It's been a topic that's been on my brain lately. Nowadays, you always see people being multi-hyphenate or like, I do this and I do that and I do that. But I don't feel like it was always like that. But I feel like y'all kind of pioneered that like organically where it's like, no, I really do this really well and I do that really well. But where did it start, or did you come out the gates doing everything, or was it just one thing?
No, it's funny. My boy GLC got a rhyme and he was like, a jack of all trades is a master of none. Shit, y'all ain't met my nigga Don. And he was like, cause it was like, I wanted to be on the business side because I looked up to business people. I wanted to be a creative. And so that's like, even to this day, like people be like, yo, what's your title? I was like, man, Don C. Like, cause I don't want to be boxed in to do one thing. Like, and that's the encouragement I'm gonna give people, man. Do whatever you could do to add value. So literally, I will sweep the floors. Like, I'll do whatever. Like, because I just want to win. So I will do business. I will do creative, and then now you have the outlet to showcase how dope you are in those categories if you're just willing to do it. So don't think anything is above you. Like, you know, like, man, it's people, a lot of times people going for like that one spot, you know, when on a team, everybody, when I liken everything to sports because I love sports, and every athlete that is a basketball player, for say, and is going to the NBA, every 450 guys in the NBA all were the star basketball player on their team in high school and probably in college. But once you get to the professional level, now you got to learn how to play a role. And so be willing to play the role for the team to win, you know. And so I think when you're able to humble yourself and say, you know what, I'm not going to be the star on the team, but I'm going to add value in this category. Now you're a star at your position. And so, you know, I see it. I've had the privilege of meeting a couple people here. I see it. I draw off what y'all giving off. This brother's setting a good example because he's a star at what he's doing, but he also provides a service for others. So you see how we give and take in the community. It's not all about just taking. It's about giving as well. And the principle of is more happiness in giving. When you really see you did something for somebody else and they can bloom, that makes you feel really proud and really good inside. So I think that's something that keeps me going and keeping me encouraged, that even if I don't get formal credit for something, I just want to add value. And when I see something that I add value wins, it makes me feel good.
Nah, that's very real. That's very real. Speaking of just adding value, the work that you've done and your friends have done have probably been on all of our mood boards at some point in time. But when you first started, you couldn't just get on Instagram or Pinterest and look up things to be inspired by. So where did you go to get inspired to even create the things that we look at as so iconic and so crazy?
Man, I had the privilege of being raised in Chicago, the greatest city on earth. Like, I'm talking about like street hustlers got style. You know, I'm from the South Side, and so Chicago's very segregated. So most people from the South Side like don't mess with the West Side or don't mess with the North. I mess with everybody. So that's the one thing that gave me a difference. I used to get inspiration from Crucial Conflict and Do or Die. You know, they from the other side of town. And I love the movement. And so I think like, man, that's what we all got in common is our neighborhood. So, and the other thing we all have in common is our family. So those are things that we start from, that we can gain inspiration from, and then elaborate on the inspiration that we get and kind of amplify different lanes. So like when I first started my brand, Just Don, with the hats, $150 hats was just a movement in Chicago in the 80s. Like street hustlers, they were called $150s because the baseball caps cost $150. So only drug dealers could afford them. Back in the 80s, $150 for a hat was like maybe $2,500 today, you know. And so it was like I tell this story all the time. It was like the Korean dry cleaner seamstress in the neighborhood would like put the snakeskin on the visor. And then we even went past that, like, there's an area called Maxwell Street that had a store called Breyers. And you had to really be a baller to shop at Breyers. But Breyers like made it commercial. They put their label on the back that said Breyers with the buckle. So that local movement inspired me to start my brand. Because when I start traveling, I start noticing like, man, I never seen this nowhere else but Chicago. So we was always trying to figure out like, how can we amplify Chicago stuff and make it global? And so that's sort of the blueprint, you know, taking something from where you from, taking something from your family, your friends, a local movement, and then put your spin on it. And now it can be yours, and you can amplify it, and it can take you across the globe.
Nah, that's real. And it's funny because I went back to my alma mater, Morehouse, recently. And I remember when I was in college, 2007 to 2011, you used to see pockets of people and know where they're from by the way they dress. Like, I feel like fashion was more regional. It was. Like, you could see somebody like, oh, that's a DMV, or they wearing
social
Chucks.
Media homogenized culture.
It changed everything. And I went back recently, and everybody dressed the same. I was like, I can't really tell what's going on. So that's interesting now to know where you guys had to go for inspiration. And now we're all being inspired by almost central things versus like these regional neighborhood influencers or things of that nature.
Yeah, that's sort of diminished, you know, because of social media, but then social media as an asset has helped us take other things to a next level.
Yeah.
So it's good and bad.
So staying on that topic, obviously there's a lot of streetwear designers in here, fashion designers in here. Thinking about where technology has advanced now in 2026, my God, a legend New Face had this question. He said, with the advances of technology and social media, how would you start Just Don today?
Wow, that's a really good one. New Face, one of the geniuses out here. Today, I mean, to be honest, are asking from the position of me being the age I am today or me being a young person today? Maybe
you being the age you started.
Okay, but then being today. Okay,
being in today with all the technology.
Yeah, I think I would be heavily influenced by social media. And I don't know if, without the knowledge that I have now, I don't know if I would have been as authentic as I feel like I am. And so that's one of the things that I need to be more intentional about, is not allowing social media to influence me more than my spectrum around me, you know. So as I think through that, like, yeah, social media is a tool for amplification, but man, you know, traveling is where I got my real inspiration from, you know, like books. Because books is something like that's rare to me. Like the internet, everybody looking at the same pictures. So, and because we looking at the same pictures, we hearing the same music, we sort of regurgitating the same ideas. So I think traveling is a real big influence. Like I want to encourage people to get out of your norm. Like life will actually move slower. You ever notice how things just seem moving real fast? That's because your brain kind of puts itself on autopilot when it's seen the same thing a bunch of times, and time moves really fast, but time will slow up if you go put yourself in a setting that you're not used to. Get your passport. Go, and even before passport, go to the other side of town, because I don't want to make things seem like unreachable. Go to the other side of town. Then go to another city. Then go visit some friends there. See what they doing. See how you can add value to what they doing. Because you don't want to pull up and be like trying to be a vulture to what they doing. You want to add value to it. So I think that's how I would really approach it like today. Like go on the road. And that's sort of what I did. I feel like, man, we started the pop-up shops, you know, like when I first started, like that was just a concept I had. I was like, man, during NBA All-Star, I want to have a shop. I want to have a store for just 2 days, you know, and then that turned into pop-ups. And I think I would just do that same thing. And honestly, I want to reinvent things. So I'm going to do it that way. I'm learning how to like use social media as a tool for like live shopping. You know, more content-based ideas, more live events. You know, that's what I think people want to consume because we all long to kind of connect in person.
Yeah, I mean, I think today is an example of that.
Exactly.
Like Martin Luther King Day used to be for just having extra hours of sleep or going to the club the night before, and to know that you guys been rocking with us since 10 a.m. That's just an example of people yearning for getting knowledge outside of, you know, Instagram or social media. So that's really dope. Staying on that topic of, you mentioned earlier about knowing when to play certain roles, right? And now you're the star player for your team as you're building Just Don. But for those, how would you have, or what role did you actually play, or was there a defined role in y'all crew as you all were making history and doing all the stuff that, you know, we've seen? What was your actual role on the team?
So like, I feel like when we first started blowing, it was because of Kanye's career. So like I looked up to people like, man, my cousin John Monopoly, like he's somebody that like, that's who introduced me to Kanye at 14. He's somebody that always was like looking at people that were like business people. And so that's one of the things, I wanted to have a business acumen. So I managed Kanye as a producer, like, and managing him meant like just trying to network with people and play his beats. Because it was just like, man, how can we play some beats, you know? So having a business role, I think, was really important because it taught me the discipline of not trying to be an artist and trying to be like, hey, I want to play a business role in an artist's career. Shout out to one of my mentors, Al, I just saw walk in, who co-managed Ye with me. So I feel like my role as a manager was really important. And then I think people can attest to this. When you're a new artist, the manager is sort of your father, your mother, your PR. So managing an artist gave me the outlet to learn a lot of things. Security, you know, because you can't afford all those roles when you first starting. So then I had to learn how to DJ. Then I had to learn how to work on album artwork, A&R, you know, like every aspect. So I feel like that's a privilege. So also use the things that people look at as like bad things, use those as assets, like being not privileged, not having the opportunity to have the luxury of hiring people allowed me to learn different roles, you know. So as a manager, specifically was my role in Ye's career, and then that opened the outlet for A&R and projects. That opened the outlet for touring, so learning touring business, accounting, learning the accounting business, and then design. And so it definitely opened the door for design because design was something that I really had a keen attention to detail. I'm real detail oriented with everything. But I think from an eye standpoint, I would always notice things that I thought was like not polished with artist projects, whether it came to music videos or the representation on albums. And a Jay-Z line comes to mention when he said on an Imaginary Player, like, your single's 99 cents, mine's $4. So I always wondered, like, what's the difference between a 99-cent single and a $4 single? And to me, it was like the attention to detail. Like, if I can market this in a way where you look at this as a more valuable piece of art than the other one, then that's adding more value. That's 4 times the sale. You know, I could do less penetration in the marketplace and make the same amount of money. I could sell a quarter amount of what you sell and we still reach the same sales goal. So, and I also feel like with that, it also allowed me to look at the luxury sector. I was inspired by fashion. And so I was looking at like how I felt like no musicians were in that space. And so that was also a goal that I wanted to conquer.
No, I love that. One of the things that I've noticed, even from just having employees now and working with a lot of young people, on social media, it actually does spark your ambition a lot too, because you might see something and be like, I want to do that too, or I can do it too. And oftentimes, sometimes I'll give an opportunity to somebody and it's like immediately they're looking for the next opportunity versus like sitting in a role and really like adding value in that particular role. So speak to just like, when did you know it was time to advance or to move, and how, like, or versus like, was it just immediately I'm on to the next? I learned accounting, now I'm trying to learn the next.
No, not at all. And so that's one of the things I encourage my people. Like, I don't want to stunt their growth, but I also tell them like, man, master what you're doing. Like, because then you can be legendary at it. Honestly, what moved me on was the universe. I either get fired of a position or something. Like, I'm not going to leave unless I get fired. Because I'm just like that. Like, I'm real, I feel like loyal. Like, I'm a ride until like the ups and downs. Because when it's on a high, it feels great. You would never give it up, the opportunity, when it's on a high. And then when you dip in a valley, to me, I always look forward to that. I say, oh, because the next high is coming. So I don't want to go. I still don't want to go. So really, I think the universe will tell you, you know. And for me, my example, it was just like others telling me, like, yo, Don, do this now. Yo, do this. And accepting like that maybe you're not as good at something as someone else is. So showing the humility of saying like I'll never forget, because I was pigeoned into being Kanye's DJ because we didn't have a DJ. But once we started being able to afford a DJ, I'm like, wait a second, I'm definitely not the best DJ out there. So I'm gonna go hire the best DJ now. And so it's just like, you gotta be, because I could have been liking the shine I was getting being on stage, which was cool. You know, it would definitely be like, girls are like, oh, I saw you on stage. So that definitely like amplifies your body count, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like, you just like, oh, but you gotta be able to say like, you know what? I started looking in the market, and because he was becoming a very influential artist, I said, man, I gotta align Kanye with the DJ that's on his level of the artist he is. And that's not me, you know? So I went out and got like a DMC champion DJ. Cause I was like, that's why I feel like, and it would even be like basketball players that would try to align with him. And I always say like, man, I wanna align him with somebody that's the Kanye of what they doing, or it's a disservice to both sides. So also being realistic about where you at this point in your career, because we all have like delusions of grandeur of who we are. And so being realistic, saying like, yo, you know what? I know I'm the coldest, but right now where I am in my career, I can learn more. So let me bring somebody in, if I got the ability to, that's even better than me at it, and that's gonna make me better. So I think it really boils down to being confident in yourself and knowing like you're not everything to everything, but saying like, hey, let me bring on others. So community is a big role. Like, be comfortable with bringing on people that are better than yourselves. I remember like when we used to be in the studio, I used to hire like engineers, and then sometimes an engineer, because we work 24 hours a day. So we'll burn out the engineer. Like, he'd be like, bro, I gotta get some sleep. And so I always tell engineers like, yo, who would you put in this spot? Because what engineers are slick at doing, they'll give you they'll give you a garbage engineer because they want to secure their spot. Yeah. So they'll like give you somebody, and I'll be like, yo, you know what? I'm judging you on who you show me as a replacement. If you bring me somebody better than you, I'm gonna now have you manage them. I'm gonna put them under you. Because it took a lot of humility for you to be like, you know what, I'm not going to play no game. I'm going to offer my homie that's even colder than me at it. And so that's what I want to welcome, because that'd be a little game people play. Like, they'll be like, oh, here's somebody knowing that they just want to feel secure, so they going to offer you somebody kind of not as good. So it's big on, like, incentivize people to bring out the best in them and to network with the best, because like I said earlier, the team wins, everybody wins. It brings the whole tide up.
Nah, that's real. That's very real. I want to, one of the questions from the audience, I don't want to butcher your name, but I think it's Herb Hub Worldwide asked, so we all know the famous photo at Fashion Week in Paris. Tell us a little bit of the backstory of how that came about and what was the statement you all were trying to make?
Really great question. Man, when we first started going out to Paris, none of the fashion brands messed with us. Like, we used to go to we used to not get invited to not one show. And so we was like, yo, we want to go to a fashion show. We want to go to a fashion show. And they was like, no, like, no. And so you see, we came out there deep trying to express ourselves. Like, we had on outfits. And so once again, Chicago prevails. We pulled up anyway. Because I'm like, yo, I used to throw parties at nightclubs. I know what it is, how to walk into a club. Like, I don't need to be invited. You know, like, I'm going to get in. So, but we was just a little too deep. So we'd get there and they'd be like, ugh, you ain't getting in. So then that sort of started the trend of street style photography. We used to hang outside the shows. When that famous picture, we was not in the show. We was outside the show. So that's why I want to encourage everybody. Like, and Kanye had hits at the time. Yeah. Like, he had songs out, and still them fashion snobs, they wasn't honoring it. You know what I'm saying? So they was like, nah, because if you, and I don't even want to say snobs because that sound, it's just like, at the time, fashion shows were for buyers and for the press, not for celebrities. You know, like that. And so that's a new thing where celebrities get welcome to fashion shows. And of course, it amplifies the show and amplifies the brand. But at that time, they were handling business. So we had to, I guess, respect that we wasn't invited. So we was outside the show and just starting a movement. And I'm really encouraged by, like, kids that are lived in Paris, like black kids from Paris, because they kind of get teased. Like, that's their home. And they can't go inside of a show. And they've been outside of shows their whole life and never been inside. So for us, the foreigners, to pull up and then open the doors for even them to come, I feel really proud of, because locally, they won the championship with us. Now they get to just walk in the shows and everything. So, you know, that was what was going on. And there was a photographer named Tommy Ton that noticed us, and he saw the movement we was doing, and, you know, he took that picture. And I shouts out to, rest in peace, to Karl Lagerfeld, because Karl Lagerfeld was the one that first let us in a show. Wow. He was the first, like, he saw us outside a Lanvin show, and this was like fall, winter 2006. And Lanvin show was a Sunday morning, like 11 a.m. And he pulled up, and he had saw us at a bunch of shows before then, because we was like, people was like, yo, get a picture. So we had got a picture with him like a couple days before then. And then he saw us and he said, yo, come in with me. And we was like, what? So we walked in with Karl Lagerfeld, and I don't know if y'all know who that is, but he like the epitome. He was the creative director of Chanel and Fendi for like over 20, 30 plus years.
Nah, that's dope. Karl Lagerfeld, that's fine. So putting a cap on that part of your life. So you say before possibly the Just Don hats and the RSVP gallery, I hope I'm at the timeline correct. What was some achievement? This is a question from the audience as well by Smooth TIP. What was an achievement in fashion that made you just know that you were ready to do whatever came next? Like, was there something like an achievement in that part of your life that made you feel that way?
I'm not big on like medals or accolades, but I think what gives me the confidence is like somebody you look up to that says like, man, this is something. So I think in 2011, A&R, I had the privilege of A&R and Watch the Throne, one of the best rap albums, period. And on on working on that album, working closely with Kanye and Jay-Z daily on an album was just like a privilege that was like, I couldn't even envision the younger me. And when I made the first hat, Kanye wore the first Bulls hat I made to the CFDA Awards. I think it was 2010. We was recording at the Mercer, and he was like, yo, I'm about to go to this award show. Anna Wintour invited me stunt, you know, like, and he was like, yo, I'm about to pull up, and he was like, I'm gonna wear the hat. And I was like, oh, word? So then that's what like people like fashion designers was like, what is this hat? And what is it? And he was like, a Bulls hat? He was like, my boy made this, you know? And then, of course, then Jay-Z wanted one. So that's what kind of made me feel like, man, the cosign from these guys, this must be something viable. But I still didn't think of it as a brand until I think one night we was like in Hawaii or something. And at this point, we was working on a tour. Watch Stone might have been out. We was going on a tour. So the hats was kind of bubbling a little bit, and I had my store. So when I first started Just Don, I put RSVP, the label, inside the hats because the hats was garnishing attention. So I said, man, let me try to put my store label inside of them so then people would be like, where you get them from? And then I knew this is kind of, social media was a little bit bubbling. Twitter had started then. And so I thought that would like drive traffic to my store. And so that's what I did. And it brought traffic to the store. And then I feel like Jay-Z, like I feel like he like co-signed it. Like he took the Yankee hat off and he wore that Brooklyn Nets every day, you know, and that became part of his uniform. And so the response from that, he was like, yo, this your lane. Like, and so I feel like that cosign let me know, like, man, I need to start a brand. Because at that point, people was like Don C hats, and Just Don wasn't a brand. And I was like, let me start a brand, and let me use this to even do something different. And so I'm even proud to say, like, later, the shorts were a bigger movement than the hats.
Wow.
The shorts was like, because I'm proud to say, like, I invented basketball shorts with pockets. Before Just Don shorts, I had the difficulty of always like putting my keys and my money in my sock, or like when I play basketball, like basketball shorts just didn't have pockets. I don't know. So the privilege of being used as a vessel to invent pockets on basketball shorts really like took it to another level.
Wow, I didn't even know that. That's dope. I never thought about that concept, but that's real. That's real. Let's get into the RSVP gallery. Anybody in the audience ever been to RSVP gallery? Yes, sir. All right, we got some people that have been there. Amazing, amazing. I know my first time visiting RSVP gallery, Travis and Easy took me to the store, and I was just so inspired from the second I walked in there. From just the neon signs, if y'all see why we got neons in here, it directly was inspired by seeing that. And I think the one thing that inspired me most about what you all were able to achieve at RSVP is it felt like everybody that worked there went on to be legends in their own right. It was like, what's the X-Men? Like, it's like you were just training up the next gen. So you have Easy, Aleli, you got Lewis, who we've worked with when we first started here. It's just like, it was just like a breeding ground for the next generation of superstars.
I'm trying to recapture that energy again.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was just a moment in time where I feel like all these creators were just attracted to the space. And I got this one kid, Max. He was 11 when we first started working there, and now he's an architect in France for LVMH. Wow. Like Virgil put him in a spot, and he was just like an 11-year-old intern. He wasn't even old enough to intern, but so he was just really hanging out, you know. Mike Carson, Mike Wax. Mike Carson is creative director for Kendrick, you know, and his tour. Man, Easy, I feel like is the epicenter, you know. Travis, the first time Travis came to Chicago, the first time, I'm proud to say, like, the first time, like, he got paid to do something was through us, you know, and the first collaboration, the LaFlame, Ben Trill collab. I feel like, so it's just, man, I think that was just a point in time where we were just privileged to attract similar energy. And I think the principle of it all we wanted to do was amplify what we was doing and attract similar energy. That's all we was trying to do. And that's what happened. So it's nothing that we could have planned.
Yeah.
You know, it was just the magical time that it happened, and I'm overwhelmed with it too. Like all the people that really came from that.
Yeah, so you said you guys didn't plan it. So those origin stories, did you always see it as something as being more than a store, or was
absolutely.
it like we need to sell clothes?
No, absolutely. Man, I got a video I wish I would have brought, but it's like when Virgil, you could kind of Google it, like Virgil RSVP Gallery. When he talk about it, he always say like, man, this is just something that when we first started, we was first traveling, touring a lot. So we were seeing things. Like first time going to Nego crib, that's how I was inspired. So that's what made me do the Apple Neon, because I saw that at his crib. And then I was like, man, and then it was also allowing me to like, one of the things, and I'll say this with Easy, because the reason Easy came originally to work at RSVP because he had to take a semester off from school, I believe. And so I always looked at it as an outlet for sometimes use your disadvantage and make it an advantage. Like taking a setback, like having to take a semester off of school probably for financial reasons is usually a setback. But if you say, you know what, now I'm gonna use this opportunity to get a job somewhere where I can get hands-on training and an opportunity to actually have experience in the field. Now that's a blessing, and that adds value to what you're doing. So, you know, I think it was mostly about wanting to educate people. I'm big on like, because at the end of the day, to keep the lights on, we had to sell product. So I used to always tell people like, man, educate yourself on all the designers. Try to learn about all the designers. So when people come in here, you don't want to sound like arrogant, but you want to say something like, man, you up on Christopher Kane? Man, you up on this? And then that's what sparks a conversation. And then people say, man, what's that? What's that? And then when you put them on, then once you educate a person, they want to spend money then. Because now they know about it. They feel comfortable. So it's a way to position things like art and culture where you're just trying to help educate people. So I'm big now. As I'm older, I like to mentor and educate. That's what I want to be. I want to be an educator because I feel like education is the key to really getting to the next level. And especially, shout out to Will, financial education. That's what he would just encourage me about. So,
Nah, he's been a big supporter of what we got going on. We got some bigger things going too, for sure. So, talk to me about like those first days, just opening the doors. And just really what was that? What was that like?
Scary. We didn't know because we weren't making no money. It was just like, man, you know, we was excited and a bunch of energy, but wasn't nobody buying nothing because people didn't know about it. So we had to start educating them. We had to start being like, this is what we doing. Then, you know, we opened the store in 2009. By the time 2012 came, we're like Pyrex. Now it was we could just drop something, and the community trusted us. They trusted us because they was like, oh, this must be the movement. Because I remember the night we dropped Pyrex, Virgil, the genius he is, he was like, man, let's get Ye to rock the hoodie on. He had like some big show. And I was like, yo, when Ye rocked his hoodie and it says Pyrex, people gonna be like, what is Pyrex? So if you go back and look at my Instagram, I remember like the day before we dropped Pyrex, I put a search on Google, what is Pyrex? And it was nothing came up. And I just said, remember this. Because I knew the next day I was gonna be the top Google hit. Like, what is Pyrex? I knew it. And so then that felt really good to have the support of the community believing in you. Because that's when it feels good, when you like, man, they believe it. And so I never want to take that for granted and mislead people that believe in you, you know, not for material gain or nothing. You know, that trust is, I think, what builds the bond. And so it's all about just keeping that trust and keeping true to yourself. And honestly, that's when you don't make sometimes the moves that you see others make that get financial gain. So sometimes it could be a little discouraging, but keep at it, because being able to keep at it is the blessing. You know, people come and go, money come and go, but being able to keep doing what you're doing is like what makes me feel good. Wow, it's easy to fly here from China or Chicago because I love it. I enjoy it. I love getting up in the morning, going to work because it's what I love to do. And so, you know, I could have went other routes and made more money doing certain things, but it's all about the love, I think. And if your money's your love, then maybe, balance it.
No, that's real. One of the other things that I just think I really got from the work you all did at RSVP Gallery is just community and a community building. The way you all would host meet and greets at the store, and sometimes that was fans' first time ever meeting a Travis or Pharrell and people that came by the store. Or you all used to have a series when a celebrity came by, y'all would take a picture of them in the back and say thanks for stopping by. Like, all of those things are like, for me, as I'm building, what I wanted to be my community hub here, all the things that we took inspiration from. But where did you guys get that thought of like kind of combining content with fashion early on and knowing how to build community?
It wasn't no thought. Okay. It was just kind of doing what felt natural, because we didn't have a plan for it. And so that's another encouragement, like do what feels good and natural. And once again, using disadvantages and making it your advantage. So we couldn't afford marketing. We didn't have a marketing budget. We didn't have these things that we saw other outlets have. So we was like, yo, we gonna shoot the campaign. We can't hire an agency. We gonna do it internally. We're gonna use this new medium called social media, and we can't afford an ad in a magazine. So, but guess what? Tumblr and Twitter is free. So we gonna shoot a campaign and put it on social media. Like, I know that's what everybody do now, but back then it was like, oh man, it came out of not having, using your disadvantage actually expands your creativity. And so use your disadvantages and turn them into an advantage. When people tease you for being different, use that as your advantage. When people look at you for like, man, when I was a kid, girls used to get teased for having a big booty. Now it's the advantage, so use your disadvantage as your advantage, like it's like, that's all it is. Like, it was not having. We didn't have it, so we had to figure out another way around it. So these people that you saying like, now we in hindsight look at it like we formed the X-Men. No, these were people that we were privileged to just be in contact with, that we gave an opportunity to, because we couldn't afford a formal art director, a formal photographer. So let me give this guy a shot. And guess what? It works out, because he's steady in the same things that he's just not formally trained. Yeah. So you give him that experience, now he becomes formally trained, So that is just using disadvantages and making it an advantage. And
just like with that, it's just the power of collaboration.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And giving opportunities, because at that time when you guys started RSVP, you guys were still some of the most famous creators, and probably could have went out and sought out all these other people, but you gave opportunities. It's all about putting the next people on.
Yeah, like anybody could jump on the bandwagon, and that's when you see how it go. When somebody hot, everybody want that hotness. But like, create your own wave, like it's and being you is how you do it. You and your crew stick to that, and then branch out and work with others too. Welcome others. So that's actually an aspect I like to talk about. Like, because me, we all from Chicago, we was kind of like tight knit. Virgil was the first creative that was not from our original crew that came in. So because he had experienced being an outsider, being welcome in, he knew how that felt. So empathetically, he reached out to others for that. So that's something I really learned from him. Like Virgil, he would always, like, when we would pull up in cities, he would just look at the creatives and be like, man, who's shooting in photography? Man, hey, come here, man, we want to do a shoot here. Can you shoot it? And so now we tapped into another market with the creatives, and that's something the genius Virgil brought that was a superpower he brought.
No, that's real, and I think that that's something I think we all can take from that, just the power of collaborating and working with others and giving other people a shot. But I think one of the things I know for me, as my employees grew, I used to be kind of like that too, tight knit, like not wanting no one else around me, like, this is my artist, I'm shooting, don't come around. And then, you know, slowly I've developed to let more people around and put more people on and things of that nature. But I know something that I struggle with that I want to get your advice on. How do you translate what's passionate in you and what you're passionate about to make to other people? Like, how do you get other people? Because I've seen that in the RSVP gal. Like I said, they all rep that like it's their store. They take it as serious. How did you all translate what you and Virgil might have had and y'all to other people?
I think first of all, we tapped into people that have similar principles. So that's having the core principles. So I'm big on like, what do you represent? Like if you represent this one thing, then you probably not gonna jam with somebody that don't represent that and don't see the same way. So if you have your core principles and you're always amplifying those, you're gonna attract people that have similar principles and beliefs. So that's the first thing, we count on the same common ground with these people. And then not being afraid. It's two reasons that motivate people to do things: love or fear. Just fear is whack. Like, you know, people could get you to do something if they afraid of you. But if they love you, it's a different way. You know, it's a different way. So if you spread love, I think people feel it, and then they want to do more. They want to do beyond their paycheck, you know. But if people just afraid of you and you being a boss, you know, like, I don't even like that term. I like the term a leader, because a boss kind of dictates and gives direction, but a leader shows and leads by example. So like I said earlier, like, nothing is too minute for a leader. A leader will do anything. And so if they're properly leading, then the people behind him will feel privileged to do anything too. And so it's just kind of aligning with the like-minded people and represent something. Really be about core principles. That's key.
No, that's real. So we've talked already about different paths you've been on, different things you've been able to achieve. I want to kind of bring it to present day as we round this conversation up. We had one question from Cool Ash. After all these years in the industry, the ups and downs, what's keeping you going?
Oh, man. The evolution of the game. Like, it's no new ideas, but it's new people to interpret them. So that's what keep me going. Like, when I meet new creatives, I'm like, oh, man, this person. And when I say youth, I mean, it's coming from this age now. Like, I'm inspired by young kids, you know, because they're like, it's no age gap now, I feel like, with generations. Like, when I was coming up, my dad was definitely not doing what I was doing. But I feel like I'm trying to set an example for my son. You know, well, we dress alike. You know, my son's now, he's about to be 16 in 2 weeks. So I'm like, man, I want him to, that's what keep me going. Now, he's not into the exact same things I'm into. So that allows me to, you know, just have, I think about my principles. I say, man, okay, you not into sports, you not into fashion, which I'm like, man, who kid are you? No, I'm just playing. but he's into chess. So that's his lane, and he's passionate about it. You know what I'm saying? Chess is his thing, and so I try to support that. And so, yeah, I think it's just young people are what keep me going in the short.
And what's your, bringing it to present day right now, and knowing that you're in a room full of creators hoping to achieve, you know, even a fraction of what you've been able to achieve, what's some advice you would give to them as they are carving their own path out for who they are in this day and age?
Keep going, keep doing you, persevere. You're gonna go through hard times. Remain joyful. If no one can steal your joy, like, so a lot of times people don't even, and I get frustrated, so I don't always remain joyful. Sometimes I get frustrated at the industry, corporations, whack people, you know. But guess what? My new thing, I'll be praying for them. Man, like, please, Lord, help this person out, because it's a reason why they acting funny. So if you could give them a blessing, now they're going to change, you know. So that's one of my things is now, like, really wishing well on those that block and hate, because I want them to win. because it's definitely something that they're going through that's making them be a hater. So I want them to experience joy and winning so they could change their perspective, you know. Because we're just humans, man. We just reflected what we go through. So I could be a hater, you know. So I'm very intentional about not being that. And that's why I say, like keep going. Because the only difference in winning and losing is a winner just keeps going. Yeah. He's a loser that keeps going. That's what a winner is, you know. So that's just keep going. And you're going to surpass anything that I've done. I just want to represent like Chicago and our community and any advice or principles I could share. But trust me, I'm just a vessel. Like the universe is good without me and it keeps moving. Anybody that think they're bigger than the game will be shown that the game will keep going and they'll just be doing something else, you know. So if you want to be a part of a movement, just keep going and keep trying to add value rather than taking value from it. Try to add value, and then that's going to make the pie bigger and bigger.
Nah, that's real. Anybody have any questions from the audience? I went through a few. Let's get into that. We can start right here in the front. We're going to work our way back. Oh, let's give them this one. We give them this one. There you go. It should be on. Introduce yourself, too.
What's good, Don? My name is Calvin, also known as Calvin B. I run a streetwear brand called 1 Billion. So a question I have for you is, I know you talked about Chicago, and you said your dad was Japanese. Did you draw any inspiration from that, and how did you use that in your work?
Yes, absolutely. Like starting out, I felt like that was one of my advantages. Like I had Japanese influence, so I would always try to, like, you know, that's how I really, you know. Me and Kanye, we had a streetwear brand that people really don't know about called Tamashi, and it was a Japanese word for soul. Because at the time, he was like, man, I'm about to really take this soul beats as my lane. Because I don't know if y'all know, like, Kanye couldn't make it as a producer for a long period of time. Like, it was really frustrating because we knew he was super uber talented, but just trying to get on in a business was very difficult. So when he finally struck, I feel like, gold with Beanie Siegel and Jay-Z, it was a thing, these soul beats, taking the soul sample loops and speeding them up. And he was like, yo, I'm gonna make this my style, because it's hard to get it. At the time before then, we was like copying Bad Boy sound, or, you know, like, because it was just like, you just copy what you hear. And I remember I was really inspired by Swiss Beats at the time, because he was a producer that I thought had his own style. I was like, man, Swiss, he kind of developing his own style. So I was like, what's gonna be our style? And so it was the looping up soul. So then I was like, yo, let's have product around it. And we had a streetwear brand that never hit the streets, but it was called Tamashi. It was more conceptual. It kind of turned into college dropout merch, you know, but at first it was like our streetwear tee. I don't know if y'all ever saw this t-shirt of like Bill Gates, and it says the college dropout in like the Godfather font. That was originally Tamashi. But then we didn't have no money to put it out. So then Def Jam needed like promo tees for the album. So we was like, let's just give them this design, and it turned into merch. So yeah, Japan definitely hugely influenced me. Like down to this, I've had this tattoo on my arm since 2004 of Astro Boy. And to see Astro Boy blow up in popular culture, a character that I learned from my grandmother when I was a kid going to Japan. So it's super influenced me.
What's up with you, Don? My name Keenan. That's my business partner, Cam, right there. So he put me on. But I remember Cam went to go photograph you. They went up there, took your photos, and I just want to know. I got a question. There go the photo right there, y'all. It was a crazy set. I remember when Cam got the call, he went up there. I ain't get to go. I was salty. I was like, dang, I want to see the shoot. But this is a question for both y'all. What did y'all like learn from each other, both on set while working with each other? Like,
I could go first. Yeah. So at the time, he was really bubbling in his career. Like the artist that he was shooting, he was like that dude. And so when you don't know somebody, you look up. So I looked up to him. I was like, yo, we got Kirk to shoot this. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I couldn't get this dude, but Nike could get him. You know what I'm saying? So I was looking at him like that. And then when I met him, we meshed. It was like his spirit was very similar to mine, I felt like. And so it was just a natural connection. Man, and his work ethic, like we jammed. We went through the whole Chicago shooting, like, you know, and I'm from the like 79th Street, and he fearlessly, like, we bringing a Nike crew on 79th to Cottage Grove. I don't know if y'all know what that is, but it's like, it's not that area where you don't want the people from, yeah. And I was happy, yo. So the work ethic, the humility, always big on, like, when I see people not put themselves on a pedestal, but they allow their work to put themselves on that pedestal, or their work speaks for themselves, or others speak highly of them. That's what I'm big about. I follow, like, man, I'm big on principles and examples. So you could imagine, like, I'm best friends with people who think a lot of themselves, you know, at times. And I've always given sometimes them the encouragement, like, man, Jesus was the coldest ever, but he never said it. He let his disciples say it. So that's what I'm big on. I think the message comes out clearer when others say it. So you just set the example, do what you do, put the best amount of work out there, and others will toot your horn. So that's what I noticed about him. The loyalty his team had, the trust, the way Nike spoke highly of him, the work I saw with the artists that he was shooting at, because the Hot Atlanta artist was all visually him. And so I think that's what I got from it. So I appreciate it, and to this day, for us to have a really tight relationship, for him to call me to come down here for this, it continues to build that bond, and I appreciate it.
Man, that's love, man, for sure. So my answer to that was 2017. We were just building Cam Kirk Studios. We might have very, 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 very early iterations of it. And that was one of the first times. So if you know my story, you know my journey. Like he said, it was a lot of me documenting the music artists, Metro Boomin, Travis Scott, Gucci Mane, all that. But this was around that time in my life where I was first stepping out on my own. Like you said, being a star of my own team, and to go to Chicago and to meet you and you already knew who I was, that was crazy to me. I didn't think that was real. So I remember when I first saw you in the store, you were like, oh man, I'm a fan. And I was like, me and my assistant Maddie at the time were both taken back. Like, wow, like the work has went this far, because this was my very first ever Nike campaign. I had never worked with Nike before. So now, years later, I work with Nike every year, and I'm working with all these brands. This is my first time, like, working with a major brand like that. So that whole moment was surreal to me, because they built the creative of the campaign around the way I was photographing artists in Atlanta. So the pitch deck that they the pitch deck they sent me was my work back. Like, the way you shot Travis here, or the way you did this here. I'm like, what in the world? Like, they kind of pitched me back to myself, and I was like, that's what y'all want from me? And we were just joking about that upstairs. 75% of this campaign was done on a disposable camera. Like, I got the call from Nike thinking it's time. Like, we like bring the big
Hype Williams setup.
bring the set, bring the production, the lights. They literally handed me a CVS disposable camera and said, we want to see what you do with this. I was so confused. I was like, I'm ready, like, for my moment. What y'all talking about? And to know that how it came out, I have the poster like upstairs. I ended up shooting you, then I shot Biggs for the Rockefeller ones. And to know how life-changing that campaign was, to see it blown up in Chicago and in New York, and going to Complex Con and seeing it, life-changing for me, for sure. First time working with a commercial brand on that level, and being able to connect with you. And like you said, every time I run into you, whether it's All-Star or whatever, you show me that same love. And I think that's one of the things I'm working on myself, is believing it. So it's one thing to be humble, it's another thing to almost forget who you are. So, like, not taking advantage of resources. Like, my team gets on me all the time, because I'll be nervous to hit people up. I'm like, man, what if you won't do it? And then sometimes you really got to believe that you put the work in and you build something genuine. So I thank you again for making these confirmations, and it's almost 10 years later, and you're saying it again, another confirmation of, like, what we're doing is really working, and you're seeing it and you're down to support. So I want to appreciate you for that too, bro.
Thank you.
Sure. Let's take a few more. I want to be respectful of his time. He got a flight, so let's do like
Facts.
2 more. Are you good?
right.
Okay.
What's going on, Don?
you
Thank
let
you
me
for your
know
time
whenever.
once again. My name is Ian. I'm the founder and CEO of the footwear and lifestyle brand Ordinary Odds. I'm wearing some of my sneakers right now. I actually had the legendary Cam Kirk wear them on his own. I didn't even have to force him in them, but wore them in public, y'all. So my question, though, is in about 2 months, I'm about to be taking my first trip to China to meet with my manufacturers, and I just wanted to know if you had any advice to save me time, money, or mistakes.
Man, that's great. The best thing you're doing, go meet the people you're working with. You know, a lot of times, I saw this thing the other day was talking about like a lot of people go on like Alibaba or something to find vendors. And a lot of times what you don't understand is that these factories are so busy and it's so many people trying to get a brand done that they don't have time to be great on social media or Alibaba too. They're busy crafting product. So sometimes they'll get people that are on Alibaba to say, hey, can I just be this, can I run your Alibaba page or can I run your, and so with these people are kind of like, they're just like middlemen, but they're showing you the factory and they're like, yo, this the factory that do this and this. But then when you hit them, you're like, yo, they not hitting you back because they just middleman in it. So the fact that you're going over there, applaud it, bro. Because you got to go meet the people, you know, meet them, get them, build a real relationship with people. One of the things that I've learned is like not looking at people as just like transactions. And so that's my thing. I try to have real meaningful relationships with people, especially I'm gonna do business with them. I don't want to just make money. I want to, and when you learn other cultures, when you go to other countries, you'll see that that's how they culturally work. Like a lot of factories that when you really want to work with them, the owner might want to go have tea with you and see your disposition, see what you about, you know. So those are things because, like I said, you want to align with people that have similar interests. If you're working with a factory, if your brand represents quality or something like that, you're working with a factory that doesn't represent quality, it's not a good mix. Yeah, it's not a good mix. So you got to go out there and see that because everybody says they represent quality. You got to go see firsthand, is that so? So keep it up what you're doing. I think maybe ask questions. Any question you have, feel comfortable asking. See how transparent they are with whatever questions you have. Another thing is like a lot of times you'll get pricing and then you want to ask about logistics, how to get it where you're trying to have it land. Because something could be, especially with the tariffs and different logistical costs, you know, something might be a certain price, but then you might not be ready for it. Costs maybe 30% more to get it home. Well, you didn't know that, and I've got hit like that, like especially because I'm manufactured in Japan and Italy, so I would make stuff, and then I wouldn't know that if I'm making $10,000 worth of goods, it's gonna cost me about $3,000 to get them home. I didn't know that, you know, when I first started, and I was like, oh man, and you'll be up that. So ask questions, you know, and if people don't want to answer your questions, that's a red flag. People that are transparent about what they're doing and the best, they don't have anything to hide, you know. So that's the little bit I could give you. Yeah, I appreciate you, bro.
Oh, what's up, brother? Thank you for coming. I love what you do and what you do for our culture. You as well, Cam Kirk. Thank you for doing this. I felt like it was school today. But I want to tell you a quick story. I got commissioned to curate my own collection on the Rock the Bells cruise, and I got initially my first rider, right? Like, what do you want to drink? And so I was thinking, like, all right, Just Don, anything Just Don. So I put on my list this bottle of Moet that I would like you to autograph, but
wow.
It's a Just Don bottle of Moet. So if you could do an autograph of that for me.
Of course.
But also, I have in my bag every Kanye West album, and I want you to relate or
The
rate.
true collector, I love it.
Relate
New face.
your favorite Kanye West album between these three, personally, your favorite.
Okay, that's I can't even. I see My Beautiful Dark Twisted Graduation. Okay, so I would say personally Graduation, but artistically My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. And the reason I say personally Graduation is so to kind of let you in on Kanye's genius. he taps into monikers when he does albums. Like, even from the first album, like, he taps into the energy of others when he wants to express himself. And Graduation album was like him kind of tapping into me. You know, I don't know if you see, it's very Japanese inspired. I took him to Takashi Murakami because I was like, man, we should get Murakami to do something. So I just reached out to Murakami and was like, yo, can we meet you? And he said, pull up to the studio. And at the time, Murakami's studio was like 2 hours outside of Tokyo. It was a haul. We had to go meet Murakami. Didn't speak the same language, but we spoke creativity. And that's what was really inspired. So that was the process of that. I mean, honestly, the process, because My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy was the album after the Taylor Swift moment. So we felt like exiled from the industry a little bit. And so going to Hawaii to just recoup. And then we got every rapper and creative to come out to Hawaii and work on that album. That was really a refreshing process. So that's the memories of that. And then College Dropout was the first one, so that's also special. But I say Graduation for me is my favorite.
Hi, I'm Taylor Jasmine. Nice to meet you. I'm 25 and I'm an R&B and pop artist from Atlanta. And my question really was, well, I wrote it down, hold on. It was, so like being an independent pop artist or R&B artist, from your experience, like what are your most important things I should be focused on without a manager? And when do you know when it's the right time to like bring the right one on? Because I've noticed since I've been doing this since I was 14, like it's hard to find the right manager with the right intentions. You know what I'm saying? So it's more so like, yeah, if you can answer that for me.
Do you, like, who supports you the most in what you're doing? Is it your friends? Is it your family?
I have advisors. Like, I managed in my career to meet people I work with that truly like believe in me, and they give like mainly like the producers I work with. I only work with like 2 producers in my like 10 years of doing music, but it's more so like they advise me on what to do, but I've never had like a solid real manager. I've been doing everything like by myself, and people always ask me like, how you do this, how you do that, are you signed, how you do that? I'm like, I'm doing by myself. So it's like, you know, how do you go about, you know?
That's quite impressive.
Yeah.
Man, I want to give it up to you for doing
Thank
things
you.
yourself. That's the power of social media and everything, that you can connect and be. I come from the era where probably it was very difficult to do it that way. But as you grow, I think you're going to align with people that you're going to see that they believe in what you're doing, your support system. And I think what we all kind of talked about was like maybe giving somebody a shot that's not formally the, I don't know what the big management company today is. Yeah,
right.
Like, yeah. But yeah, like, you know, it don't have to come from that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it could come from your family member, your best friend, you know, because those are the people that really truly care about you beyond the money and the business, you know.
Right.
So that's a good aspect. And then if they truly care about you, they're gonna now make it their job to align with people that's gonna help your business grow.
So what should I be focused on as an artist without one though? Like, let's say I don't try to find one.
Yeah, I mean, like, you gotta have some support system because it's very difficult to do things on your own. So build from what you have and then grow that. So like, if, like I said, if it's a cousin, a family member, a best friend that's willing to ride with you, that's like, yo, I believe in what you're doing, man, use that person because that they believe, and then that's gonna attract the next level of what they do or what they can bring, or they're gonna open the doors.
Right.
Like, it's gonna happen for you. So like, you're here networking, you here just put your story out there, like, man, people's life can change by just meeting somebody.
You're right.
Or just, so continue to network, continue to put yourself out there on social media, continue to be eager about what you're doing, and it's gonna attract the right energy. And I'll say, I definitely think that you got some support system around you. Everybody do. So maybe you're overlooking one of your close friends that really looking for a shot to be a manager.
Right.
And you might not even be thinking about them. So be intentional about using the people that you have as assets, because using what you have now is the best thing you can do, and it's going to attract greater.
You're right. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Keep it going.
What's up, Don?
What up?
My name is Chase Mills. I'm 13 years old, and I'm mainly a basketball player, but I'm also into fashion. I'm trying to make my own business, my clothing brand. So what's some advice that you can give me?
Man, first, man, give it up for yourself, bro. You're doing some great work at a very young age. So that, and you fearlessly ask that question, and you're here networking. So you're doing the right thing. At what point are you with your clothing line? Have you designed items?
A little bit, but I'm still trying to find ideas and stuff.
Okay. So right now you're just developing concepts and ideas?
Yeah.
Continue to do that. And like some of the things I said earlier, maybe getting out of your normal thing, whatever you can do to kind of be inspired by other things. Right now you had a privilege of being at this place. Camp Kirk Studios is a good networking spot to be at. You got this asset right here that you can pull up at. You can meet other creatives. Then it's going to help you develop more of your ideas. Once you get your ideas developed, maybe learning skills, graphic design. You can take classes. You can look online. You can be mentored by people here to how to design, how to market it, maybe photography, maybe art direction. These are things that are needed. Learning marketing, learning sales. It's so many aspects of a brand. So just look at the examples of other people that you think you look up to and be like, man, can I just soak up game from them? If you could just come around and watch, you can get experience. So I'm gonna be looking for you. And next time I see you, I want to see some growth in this development of your brand. What's the name of your brand?
I'm still trying to make the name of it
Figuring out,
too.
okay.
Yeah.
So next time you see you, a goal, set small, set short-term goals and long-term goals for yourself.
Okay.
So long-term is you're going to be at the highest level of what you're trying to do. Fashion and NBA basketball, that's the highest levels.
Yeah.
So you're going to be, that's long-term goal. So short-term goals to get there is let's develop a name and a concept for your brand. Let's figure out something that makes it unique. Maybe look at your experiences. Maybe look at your family for inspiration, your friends, and then see what your family and friends, be intentional with them about what they want to do, because y'all might be on the same path that can help each other.
I got one more question too.
Of course.
So I go to private school, which is mainly white, and I know you mentioned that you were partly Japanese and your dad was Japanese. How do you stay true to yourself, even though you're a bit different, I guess?
Man, that's what make you yourself. So trust me, you go to school with other kids that you might be different, embrace your difference.
Yeah.
And learn from what they bring to the table. You might be able to network there and get some venture capitalists to invest in your brand before it even kick off, know. So use the thing that you might think is negative as your advantage.
Yeah.
So keep it and stay true to yourself, because who you are is what makes you special.
Right.
So trust me, they're going to appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Keep it up.
Nah, that was amazing. One more time for the legend, the icon, Don C.
Thank y'all, man. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you. And again, one more time for you all for rocking with us. Yesterday's tomorrow. I could not have done this without Shelly and Simone. I want to make sure they get their acknowledgement.
Shelly and Simone both helped me out big time to get here, so thank you.
The whole Camp Kirk Studios staff. Shout out to the CKS staff. My partners, Marley and Keenan,
Yes,
holding
sir.
it down. Adrice, you got up on the mic. Harrison been hooking everybody up. The whole staff, man, I really appreciate you all. I'm grateful, overwhelmed at times for this. Everybody for coming out. So many friends and family, so many people I've seen and have the privilege of working with for decades are here to support today. Definitely means a lot. As Shelly mentioned before, this is a Camp Kirk Foundation event. This was designed because I was challenged by an OG about why we don't do anything on MLK Day. Why don't we as young people living off the shoulders of things that he's made away from in Atlanta, and now we're walking distance from his home now. Why don't we gather today? Why aren't we doing something in his legacy? Because they're not going to do it, obviously, as we know. So if we want to preserve the history of what he stood for, what he died for, it starts with us in doing this. So grateful to be able to do this again. And the first time us doing this here on the Beltline. Thank you all for coming out, and make sure y'all get home safe, and appreciate everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate y'all. Yeah, thank you.